First off, thank you to the panel. As a freshman who's sitting here, I learned early that I would rather give time to everyone else to ask their questions instead of jumping in midterm. So you've got one more to put up with me. And I want to start by asking Secretary Kurland for a response. I'm hearing that I'm seeing in some reports that we all know that the FCC has a very important meeting this afternoon regarding passenger usage of cell phones in flight. But I'm seeing reports that DOT may actually preempt that decision. Can you confirm or deny that that may be taking place, and what might that decision be?
It's my understanding, Congressman, that the FCC is in fact having a public meeting today in which they may be taking a vote in order to go whether or not to go forward with a rulemaking on the use of certain types of equipment. The only thing that I can comment on from the from the FAA perspective would be that the FAA would take a very careful look at any safety implications, whether it's from avionics interference or from cabin safety. But this is the first step right now is for the FCC to be they're having this meeting today.
So the FCC is having the meeting, yes, but the reports are that DOT is going to preempt them with the decision.
I'm going to have to look into that, and I will provide you an answer for the record. I don't have that information.
How long will it take?
As quickly as I can. As soon as I get back to the office, I will try.
I'll ask a few more questions. If your staff could kind of text their folks over at DOT and maybe get a response, that'd be great. We would very much appreciate it. I mean, we are very concerned about what's going to happen with the FCC decision today, and seeing reports the DOT may actually already have a decision made. I guess the question that I need answered is it inevitable that you're going to actually make a decision that would or could affect whatever comes out of the FCC?
As I say, I will have to check that. You may have more information right now than I do.
Okay, we'll come back. Mr. Bunce, first off, thank you for being here. I think this committee has been a model for bipartisanship and working together to find solutions. An example of this, obviously, is the Small Airplane Revitalization Act, which was signed into law this year and focuses on streamlining the small aircraft certification standards. The sooner these new Part 23 standards are in place, the better it will be for all of our aviation community, especially general aviation community, and our economy. I guess my question is, from your perspective, what can be done to facilitate the FAA's development and implementation of this act?
Well, thank you, Mr. Davis, and thank you very much for your co-sponsorship of that important legislation. That was substantive for us, and I just want to let you know the impact. I was in Cologne at EASA, which is rough FAA equivalent over there, and because of the effort of the Congress that started here in this committee, actually EASA has said that is one of their #1 rulemaking programs going forward. So they call it CS23, we call it Part 23 over here. But this is truly global rulemaking. So we had 8 different countries participate in that rulemaking process, but we were very worried during that certain elements within the bureaucracy would start to parse it up and break it up, and we wouldn't have the game-changing effect that it will have now because of your help. How do we make this actually happen over the next 2 years to try to get the FAA to deliver it is actually just, we think, having this committee very engaged in saying, okay, what is the progress to date? If we get this right, now we can expand this to rotorcraft and then Part 25 transport category aircraft. So it's just not standalone. We're not just talking about aircraft below 12,500 pounds. In rotorcraft right now, we have to modernize the regulations because to keep them safe, we're having too many accidents because we're not properly able to use new technology to keep pilots safe. So we can extend this if we do it right, but this is fundamental.
Well, thank you. And I mean, obviously keeping the committee engaged is a priority, but do you foresee any other problems in meeting the December deadline in 2015?
Having worked with the FAA, there could always be problems, sir, but we're going to report back to you if we see any problems in the process.
Well, thank you. Mr. Brewer, Thank you for being here today. I appreciated your testimony with respect to protecting our contract towers. These cost-effective partnerships, they promote safety and are absolutely critical to small communities and many of the small airports that I represent. There are a number of great contract towers in my district. We have Bloomington, Decatur, and actually Bethalto, St. Louis Regional Airport. And in fact, Carl Olson, who's the executive director of the Bloomington Airport, just contacted us the other day and let us know they received another perfect score from the FAA on their safety inspection. The question I have for you, I'm confident Congress is going to keep working together on this, but what can be done in the near and the long term to promote and protect the contract tower program?
Well, I hope this is working. I should try this one here. We are technology challenged today, apparently. I just want to say thank you for bringing this up again, because it is such an important and cost-effective way to maintain safety throughout the system. And as you indicated, some of the contract towers in your own district, there's 252 of these contract towers in 46 states and 4 territories around the country. 28% of all of the tower operations go through the contract tower program. I think the funding of it needs to be maintained, and as we look forward to the new FAA reauthorization bill, ensuring that program is protected, I think is key.
Well, thank you, and I couldn't agree more. Mr. Callio, you knew I wouldn't forget you. You knew I wouldn't forget you. Hey, I've got a great workforce training facility at one of my community colleges in Springfield, Illinois, Lincoln Land Community College, where they're training aviation mechanics for the future. And by 2016, reports are that 1/3 of the aviation workforce is going to be eligible to retire. Besides the facilities like Lincoln Land Community College's program, what can this committee do, in your opinion, to help prepare for that future and bring more individuals into the workforce in aviation?
Well, Congressman, you identify a significant problem. Mr. Whitkin referenced it before, I think, and it's not just machinists and other airline workers, it's the air traffic controllers as well. And candidly, I think the best thing that this committee could do would be to take today's hearing and use it as a springboard to look holistically at the entire industry and what needs to be done to let us maintain our world leadership and make us more competitive. Because we do have problems, we do have challenges, particularly on a global basis across the board. We all are challenged. And so if you can continue your work and make it serious and produce the kind of results you have previously on WRDA on the certification bill, that would be it.
Thank you, Mr. Whitkin.
Thank you for that question. The only thing I would offer is that, first of all, the Machinists Union has a partnership with at least one, if not more, high schools that train future mechanics. I'll send more formally to the committee information about that program. It might be one that the committee might look at as a way to expand training. But I do think this outsourcing problem, where we now have 70% of all maintenance is outsourced in the airline industry. More than 1/3 goes overseas. We are creating disincentives for people to even want to become airline mechanics in this country because the jobs are going overseas. So I think if we connect the dots, you've got a public policy challenge of making sure we keep the level playing field, that we don't incentivize outsourcing abroad. But at the same time, we have the shortage looming. Well, you can't ignore those 2 points are related. And so I think as we go forward, we're going to be offering some suggestions about workforce training issues that apply to not only mechanics, but to pilots, to air traffic controllers, to other FAA workers. And I'm looking forward to working with you on that. I think it's an area where we can find some bipartisan support and agreement.
I agree. Thank you. Secretary Kerlin. Any new news?
I understand that the press is making statements, but I will have to go back to the department and we will have to get back to you and report back to you on that, sir.
Okay, because I'm told that another committee, at a committee hearing today, the FCC chairman said that DOT was working on a rule to regulate voice calls, and I guess it perplexes me
I don't know.
to know that something is going on with DOT and this committee can't get the same answers that another committee can.
I apologize, but I don't have that information at my fingertips, but I will get back to you. Maybe I do.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just,
We will be making a statement later today, and we will make sure that we get it to you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just reading here. It came out 6 minutes ago. U.S. carriers, FCC, reach accord on unlocking cell phones. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler said before members of Congress that an agreement was reached between the carriers and the agency, and details will be presented at the FCC meeting later on. The agreement would ensure that providers notified, et cetera, et cetera. So apparently you're right, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
If I could just clarify, I believe that in terms of carriers, so nobody misunderstands, that would be the cell phone carriers, not the airline carriers.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Callio, and thank you. Ms. Curlin, if you could have your staff get back to my office with as soon as this is made public so that we can be aware and let our constituents know, and also let the rest of this committee know, I'd sincerely appreciate it.
We will certainly do that, sir, and thank you
All
for your
right.
patience.
Well, thank you, and I guess I'll end by saying, does anyone have any comments on this cell service issue? I'm happy to take them now, otherwise we'll adjourn the hearing. Seeing none, this hearing is adjourned.